I became someone's property the moment my father's luck ran out. The car smelled like leather and expensive cologne, the kind that costs more than 3 months of my rent. I pressed my forehead against the cool window, watching the city blur past while my hands trembled in my lap. The driver hadn't spoken since picking me up from my apartment. He didn't need to. We both knew where this ended. Dante Moretti's mansion rose from the hillside like a monument to everything I'd never have. White columns, marble steps, windows that caught the sunset and turned it into liquid gold. Beautiful, pristine. The kind of place where girls like me arrived through the back door, if we arrived at all. I'd spent 3 days trying to fix this. 3 days calling my father, begging him to tell me it was a mistake, that he hadn't actually gambled away money he didn't have to men who collected debts in blood. He'd stopped answering after the first 12 calls. The driver opened my door. No words, just a gesture toward the entrance. My heels clicked against marble as I walked through doors that probably cost more than my college education. The foyer stretched impossibly high, chandelier crystals catching light like frozen tears. Everything gleamed. Everything was cold. "Miss Voss," the voice came from my left. A man in a perfectly tailored suit stood in the doorway of what looked like a library. Tall, built like he spent hours in a gym. Salt and pepper hair cut military short. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'm Victor Kraus, Mr. Moretti's associate." He stepped closer, and I caught the scent of cigarettes barely masked by mint. "We've been expecting you." Associate? Right. Like calling a shark a fish. "Where's my father?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Your father made certain choices." Victor circled me slowly, the way you'd inspect a car before buying it. "Those choices have consequences. You're looking at one of them." Heat flooded my cheeks. "I didn't make those choices." "No." He stopped in front of me, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. "But you'll pay for them anyway. That's how this works." Something in his tone made my skin crawl. Not just cruelty, anticipation. Like he was waiting for me to break so he could watch. "Mr. Moretti will see you tonight," Victor continued. "There's a gala you'll attend. We'll discuss your father's debt and your role in settling it." His finger traced my jawline. I jerked back. He laughed. "Get her ready," he called over his shoulder. 2 women appeared from nowhere, both dressed in black, both avoiding my eyes. They led me up a staircase that curved like a rib cage, down a hallway lined with paintings of people who looked like they'd been dead for centuries, into a bedroom 3 times the size of my apartment. "Shower's there," one of them said, pointing. "Dress will be brought up. Hair and makeup at 7. Wait." The door closed. I heard the lock click. I ran, to it anyway, yanking on the handle until my palms burned. Locked. Of course it was locked. I was collateral. Property. Insurance on a debt I didn't owe. The bathroom was all white marble and gold fixtures. I caught my reflection in the mirror. 24 years old. Dark circles under my eyes from 3 sleepless nights. Clothes I'd thrown on without thinking because what do you wear when you're being sold? I didn't cry. Crying wouldn't fix this. The shower water ran hot enough to scald. I stood under it until my skin turned pink, until the temperature shocked the numbness from my chest. When I finally stepped out, a dress hung on the door. Deep emerald silk that probably cost more than my car. No choice in the matter. Just like everything else tonight. By 7:15, I looked like someone else. The makeup artist had painted me into a different girl. One with sharp cheekbones and red lips, and eyes that looked mysterious instead of terrified. The dress fit like it had been made for me. Maybe it had. "Time to go." one of the women said. The gala was already in full swing when I arrived. The ballroom glittered with people who wore wealth like armor, diamonds, designer suits, champagne glasses that probably cost more than my monthly groceries. I recognized a few faces from the news: a senator, a real estate mogul, a woman who owned half the restaurants in the city, all of them criminals dressed in silk and lies. Victor found me at the edge of the room. "There you are." His hand clamped around my elbow, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. "Come, I want to introduce you to some people." He paraded me through the crowd like a prize, his grip never loosening. Men looked at me the way they'd look at a painting they wanted to buy. Women looked through me like I wasn't worth acknowledging. My heart hammered so hard I thought everyone could hear it. We stopped near the center of the room. Victor raised his voice, cutting through the music and conversation. "Gentlemen, ladies, I'd like you to meet Alara Voss." His smile turned sharp. Her father made some unfortunate bets, lost some money he didn't have, so she's here now. Mine. Payment in full for David Voss's stupidity. The room went quiet. Mine. He'd said it like I was a car title, a piece of furniture. Heat flooded my face, humiliation mixing with rage I couldn't show, couldn't release, couldn't do anything with except swallow until it burned a hole through my stomach. "Actually," the voice came from behind Victor, deep, controlled, carrying enough weight that people stepped back without thinking about it. Dante Moretti moved through the crowd like water parting around a stone. Tall, dark hair, eyes the color of storm clouds, expensive suit that somehow looked different from everyone else's, not trying to impress, just stating facts. He was younger than I expected, maybe 35, handsome in a way that made you nervous, like admiring a blade. He stopped 3 feet from Victor. The temperature dropped. "You're mistaken, Victor." Dante's gaze slid to me, and for half a second I saw something I couldn't name. "Miss Voss's father owed money to my organization, not yours, which means any arrangements regarding his debt go through me." Victor's fingers tightened on my elbow until I bit my lip to keep from crying out. "I was under the impression—" "You were under the wrong impression." Dante's tone could have frozen vodka. "Release her." For 3 heartbeats, no one moved. Victor's jaw clenched. His hand trembled with barely controlled fury. Then slowly, his fingers opened. I stumbled back, catching myself against a nearby table. Dante extended his hand to me. "Dance with me, Miss Voss." It wasn't a request. His hand was warm when I took it, steady. He led me onto the dance floor while every single person in that ballroom watched. The music swelled, something slow, something that required him to pull me close, his hand settling at the small of my back, mine resting on his shoulder. We moved together, and he leaned down, his breath warm against my ear. "Dance with me. He'll see you're mine." The words echoed through the silent ballroom. Every head turned. Victor stood frozen where we'd left him, his face twisted with rage he couldn't express. Not here, not in front of everyone. I should have been relieved. I should have been grateful. But Dante Moretti's hand pressed against my spine like a brand, and I realized I'd just traded one monster for another. The only question was, which one would destroy me first? His eyes met mine as we turned across the floor. For just a moment, I saw something there. Calculation, yes, but something else, too. Something that looked almost like regret. "You have no idea what you've walked into tonight, Alara Voss," he murmured. I held his gaze, my heart thundering, my future crumbling, everything I'd known dissolving like sugar in rain. "Don't I?" I wanted to say. But the words stuck in my throat, and we kept dancing while the world I knew burned down around me. He gave me a bedroom with a lock that only worked from the outside. I discovered this at 2 in the morning when I couldn't sleep and tried to open the door. The handle turned. Nothing happened. I yanked harder, still nothing. Then I saw it. The lock mechanism faced the hallway, not the room. I was in a cage with silk sheets and a view of the city. Sleep didn't come after that. I sat by the window watching headlights crawl across distant highways, trying to figure out how my life had collapsed in less than 12 hours. Yesterday, I was a paralegal working 60-hour weeks to pay off student loans. Today, I was property. At 7, someone knocked. The door opened. Apparently, they could do that whenever they wanted, and a woman in a black uniform brought breakfast on a silver tray. Real silver. Fresh fruit and pastries that smelled like they'd been baked an hour ago. Coffee in a cup so delicate I was afraid to hold it. She left without speaking. I forced down half a croissant that tasted like cardboard in my mouth, then showered and pulled on clothes someone had left in the closet. Designer jeans that fit perfectly. A cashmere sweater softer than anything I'd ever owned. Everything my size. Everything planned. At 9, Dante appeared. He knocked this time, a courtesy that somehow made it worse. "Get dressed for training," he said through the door. "Comfortable clothes. You have 10 minutes. Training. What the hell did that mean? I changed into workout pants and a t-shirt, and when the door opened again, a different guard gestured for me to follow. We wound through hallways I hadn't seen last night, down a staircase into what must have been the mansion's basement, through a door into a room that looked like a professional gym. A woman stood in the center, wrapping her hands with tape. Tall, lean muscle, hair cropped short, scars on her knuckles that told stories I probably didn't want to hear. "I'm Revka," she said without preamble. Her accent was Eastern European, Russian, maybe Ukrainian. "I'm here to make sure you don't die." "Excuse me?" "You're living in Dante Moretti's house. You're playing a role in a game you don't understand. Victor Kraus wants you dead, or worse." She finished taping her hands and looked at me with eyes that had seen things that would give me nightmares. "If you're going to survive, you need to be more than beautiful. You need to be dangerous." My laugh came out bitter. "I'm a paralegal. I've never thrown a punch in my life." "Then today you learn." She tossed me hand wraps. "Hurry up." For the next 2 hours, Revka taught me how to stand, how to move, how to make a fist without breaking my thumb. She was patient in a way that made me think she'd done this before, trained someone who started from zero. "You're faster than you look," she said after I managed to dodge one of her strikes. "That's good. Speed beats strength when you know how to use it." By the time we finished, my muscles screamed and sweat soaked through my shirt. But something had shifted. I felt less like prey. "Same time tomorrow," Revka said, unwrapping her hands. "And Alara, trust no one here, not the guards, not the staff." She paused. "Not even him." Dante found me in the hallway on my way back upstairs. He leaned against the wall like he'd been waiting, hands in his pockets, expression unreadable. "How was your first session?" "Educational." I didn't stop walking. He fell into step beside me. "Revka's the best. She'll teach you everything you need to know." "And what exactly do I need to know? How to escape? How to fight off Victor when he comes for me? How to survive being collateral in whatever war you two are fighting?" He stopped. I took 3 more steps before I realized and turned back. "You want the truth?" Dante's voice was quieter now, stripped of the authority he'd carried last night. "Victor is trying to take my organization. He's been undermining me for months, making moves, building alliances. Last night, when he claimed you were his, he was testing boundaries, seeing if I'd let him. So you claimed me instead. How noble. I kept you alive. His jaw tightened. If I'd let Victor walk out of there with you, you'd be dead by morning, or wishing you were. The certainty in his tone made my stomach turn. What does he want from me? Leverage, information. He thinks having you means he can get to me. Dante moved closer, and I forced myself not to step back. Here's how this works, Alara. In public, you're mine, my lover, my choice. It keeps Victor from touching you. In private, you have your own room, your own space. You train with Revka. You learn to protect yourself. And when this is over, when I've dealt with Victor, you walk away free of your father's debt. When it's over, I laughed without humor. And how long is that? I don't know. At least he was honest about that. Do I have a choice? I asked. Everyone has choices. His eyes held mine. But some choices keep you breathing and some don't. Choose wisely. He walked away, leaving me in the hallway with muscles that ached and a future that looked like fog. Impossible to see through, impossible to navigate. That night, Dante invited me to dinner. Not ordered. Invited. The distinction felt important, even though I knew it wasn't really optional. The dining room could have seated 20. Crystal chandelier. Table that gleamed like dark water. He sat at one end. I sat at the other. And servers brought courses that were probably delicious but tasted like nothing in my mouth. Tell me about your life before, Dante said halfway through the meal. I looked up, surprised. Why? Because we're going to be spending time together. I'd like to know who you are beyond your father's mistakes. It felt like a test. Maybe it was. I worked at a law firm, paralegal position, nothing glamorous. I wanted to go to law school, but I couldn't afford it after undergrad, so I was saving up, working extra hours, living in a studio apartment that cost too much because everything in this city costs too much. Ambitious. Desperate, I corrected. There's a difference. Something that might have been respect flickered across his face. What about family? Friends? My mother died when I was 16. Cancer. After that, it was just my father and me. The bitterness crept back into my voice. Turns out, I didn't know him as well as I thought. People surprise us, usually in the worst ways. The servers cleared our plates, brought dessert neither of us touched. The silence stretched until it felt like a third person at the table. Why are you doing this? I finally asked. The dinner, the questions, pretending I'm a person instead of a problem you inherited. Dante set down his wine glass. Maybe I don't see you as a problem. Then what do you see? His answer took long enough that I thought he wouldn't give one. When he spoke, his voice carried something I couldn't identify. Regret, maybe, or recognition. Someone who didn't deserve this. Someone who's stronger than they realize. Someone who might actually survive the game. He stood. Get some rest, Alara. Tomorrow, the real work begins. I watched him leave, and for the first time since arriving, I felt something other than fear. It felt dangerously close to hope. And in Dante Moretti's world, I was learning that hope could be the most dangerous thing of all. The third morning, my father finally called. I was in the gym with Revka, learning how to break someone's grip on my wrist, when my phone buzzed across the bench. His name lit up the screen like an accusation. Take it, Revka said, stepping back. But put it on speaker. I want to hear what kind of man sells his daughter. My hands shook as I answered. Dad? Alara, sweetheart. His voice sounded exactly the same. Warm, familiar, like he hadn't destroyed my entire life. I've been worried sick about you. The laugh that escaped me bordered on hysterical. You've been worried? You gambled me away like I was a poker chip and you've been worried. It's not like that. I had a plan, I just needed what? To ruin me? To make me someone's property? Tears burned my eyes, but I wouldn't let them fall. Not for him. How much, Dad? How much was I worth? Silence stretched across the line. When he spoke again, the warmth had drained from his voice. 300,000. The number hit like a physical blow. $300,000. That's what my life cost. That's what he'd lost. I can fix this, he said quickly. I have a plan. That's why I'm calling. I need you to do something for me. Of course he did. What? Moretti has files, documents about his operations, his business dealings. I need you to find them, copy them, get them to me. My blood went cold. You want me to spy on him? I want you to help me get us both out of this mess. His tone shifted, taking on the persuasive quality I'd heard my whole life when he needed something. Alara, I'm your father. I made mistakes, yes, but I'm trying to make them right. These files, they're insurance, protection. Once I have them, I can negotiate your release. We can both be free. Free. I looked at Revka, whose expression had gone deadly calm. Who are you working with, Dad? Who wants these files? That doesn't matter. What matters is Victor Kraus. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. You're working with Victor. You owed him money, and now he wants information on Dante, and I'm your way in. Sweetheart, you don't understand the situation. I understand perfectly. My voice came out steady despite the earthquake in my chest. You didn't gamble away money you didn't have. You took money from Victor deliberately. You planned this. You used me as bait. The silence confirmed everything. How long? I asked. How long have you been planning to betray me? I never betrayed you. I'm trying to save you. By throwing me to wolves? Something broke inside me. Not my heart, that had shattered days ago. Something deeper. The part of me that still believed my father was a good man, who'd made bad choices. I was going to law school, Dad. I was building a life, and you sold me to settle a debt you created on purpose. Alara. I hung up. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Revka picked up the phone, turned it off, removed the battery. He'll try again. They always do. She met my eyes. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I don't know. Yes, you do. She stepped closer. You know exactly what you need to do. You're just afraid to admit it. She was right. The answer had crystallized the moment my father asked me to betray Dante, but saying it out loud felt like stepping off a cliff. I need to tell Dante, I whispered. Yes. My father will... Your father made his choice. Now you make yours. Revka's hand settled on my shoulder, surprisingly gentle. Survival means knowing when to cut ties, even blood ties. I found Dante in his study, surrounded by papers and ledgers that probably detailed crimes I couldn't imagine. He looked up when I entered, and something in my face made him set down his pen. What happened? I told him everything. The phone call, Victor, the files, my father's plan. The words spilled out like poison I needed to purge, and with each sentence, Dante's expression grew darker. When I finished, he stood and poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed me one. I'd never liked whiskey, but I drank it anyway, welcoming the burn. Your father's not stupid, Dante said finally. Reckless, yes. Selfish, absolutely. But not stupid. He knows what Victor will do with those files. What will he do? Destroy me, take my organization, probably kill everyone loyal to me in the process. He swirled his glass, watching the amber liquid catch the light. Victor's been waiting for an opening like this for years. I'm sorry. The apology felt inadequate. I didn't know. I swear I didn't. I know. He moved closer, and I caught the scent of his cologne mixed with paper and ink. You're a terrible liar, Alara. It's one of your more endearing qualities. So what do? His smile was sharp enough to cut. We give your father exactly what he wants. I stared at him. What? The files exist. Financial records, business transactions, supplier lists, everything Victor needs to dismantle my operation. Dante set down his glass. We'll let you find them. You'll photograph them, send them to your father, and he'll deliver them to Victor. That's insane. You'd be handing them everything. I'd be handing them lies wrapped in truth. His eyes glinted with something dangerous and brilliant. The files will be real enough to pass initial inspection, but the information inside? Modified, altered, designed to lead Victor into traps we'll set. By the time he realizes he's been played, it'll be too late. The audacity of it stole my breath. You want to use me as a double agent? I want to give you a choice. Dante's voice softened. You can walk away right now. I'll give you money, a new identity, protection to start over somewhere Victor can't find you. Your father made this mess, not you. You don't owe me anything. If I walk away, Victor wins. Possibly. And my father? Will face consequences for his betrayal. That's not negotiable. Dante's jaw tightened. But those consequences don't have to include you. I turned toward the window, watching the city lights flicker in the darkness. Somewhere out there, my father was waiting for me to betray the man who'd kept me alive, waiting for me to choose blood over survival. But blood didn't mean loyalty. I'd learned that the hard way. Teach me, I said. Teach me how to lie to my father, how to play this game, how to make sure Victor Krauss regrets ever using me as a pawn. Dante's reflection appeared in the window beside mine. This isn't a game you can walk away from once you start. You understand that? I understand I'm already in it. I faced him. The only question is whether I'm a piece or a player. Something shifted in his expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition of something similar in me that he saw in himself. Then we start tonight. He pulled a leather folder from his desk. These are the real files. Study them. Memorize what's important. Tomorrow, I'll show you the versions we're giving Victor. You need to know both, the truth and the lie, so you can sell the deception. I took the folder. It felt heavier than it should have. Alara. Dante caught my wrist gently, nothing like Victor's bruising grip. Once we do this, there's no going back. Your father will know you betrayed him. He won't forgive that. Good, I said, and meant it, because I won't forgive him either. We worked until 3 a.m. Dante spread documents across his desk, explaining organizational structures, shell companies, money laundering networks, teaching me to see the patterns, understand the systems, identify what mattered and what didn't. His patience surprised me. When I asked questions, he answered. When I struggled to understand something, he found different ways to explain it. This wasn't the cold crime lord from the gala. This was someone else. Someone focused, intelligent, almost professorial. You're good at this, he said around midnight, watching me spot a discrepancy in one of the financial records. I almost went to law school, remember? It's more than that. He leaned back in his chair. You see connections, patterns. Most people look at numbers and see chaos. You see structure. Is that a compliment? It's an observation. But something in his tone suggested it might be both. I looked up and found him watching me with an expression I couldn't read. The study felt suddenly smaller, the air heavier. We'd been alone together for hours, close enough that I could see the stubble along his jaw, the faint scar above his left eyebrow. "Why are you really helping me?" I asked. The truth this time. Dante was quiet for long enough that I thought he wouldn't answer. When he did, his voice carried weight I hadn't heard before. Because Victor Kraus destroyed someone I loved. And I've spent 5 years building toward the moment I could destroy him back. His eyes met mine. Your father handed me the perfect weapon, but weapons work both ways. I won't use you unless you choose to be used. Who did Victor destroy? My sister. Pain flickered across his face, there and gone. She was kind, gentle, everything I'm not. He targeted her to get to me. By the time I understood what was happening, it was too late. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Help me make sure he never does it again. I thought about my father, about the life he'd stolen from me, about Victor's hands on my arm, his voice promising things that made my skin crawl. Okay, I said. Let's burn his world down. Dante smiled, a real smile this time, sharp and fierce and almost beautiful. Then tomorrow, we teach you how to lie to the people who think they know you best. Do you think Ilara should trust Dante, or is there something else he's hiding? Lying to my father became easier than breathing. And that's what scared me most. 2 weeks into the deception, I could look him in the eye through video calls and feed him false information without my voice wavering. I'd become someone who manipulated truth like clay, shaping it into whatever form served our purpose. Dante had been right about one thing. I was good at this. The files are encrypted, I told my father during our third call, my voice pitched perfectly between frustrated and determined. I need more time. Victor's getting impatient. My father's face filled the screen, and I searched for any sign of remorse. Found nothing. He needs results, Ilara. Then maybe Victor should have thought of that before using me as bait. I let anger bleed into my tone. Real anger, not performed. That was the trick Dante taught me. Wrap lies in authentic emotion. I'm doing this, Dad, but I'm doing it carefully. If Dante suspects anything, we're both dead. That part, at least, was true. After I hung up, I found Dante waiting in the hallway. He'd started doing that, appearing when I needed him, like he could sense the moment the performance ended and reality crashed back. How'd I do? I asked. Perfectly. He fell into step beside me as we walked toward his study. Your father believed every word. Of course he did. I'm his daughter. He thinks I'm weak. His mistake. Something warm unfurled in my chest at those words. Dangerous. I pushed it down. The study had become our war room. Maps on the walls showing Victor's territories. Photographs of his associates. Plans and contingencies written in Dante's precise handwriting. We spent hours here now, plotting, strategizing, building the trap that would destroy Victor piece by piece. And somewhere between the chess moves and whiskey, something had shifted between us. I noticed it in small things. The way Dante's hand would brush mine when passing documents. How his eyes followed me across the room. The careful distance he maintained, like he was afraid of getting too close. I noticed because I was doing the same thing. Victor's making his move tonight, Dante said, spreading new intelligence across the desk. There's a charity event at the Belmont. He'll be there. So will we. My pulse quickened. Together? You're my lover, remember. We need to sell that. His jaw tightened slightly. He'll try to corner you, get you alone, test whether you're really mine or just playing a role. What do I do? Stay close to me. Don't let him separate us. And if he does... Dante pulled something from his desk drawer. A small device no bigger than a button. This is a panic trigger. Press it and Revka's team will be there in 30 seconds. I took it, the metal cold against my palm. You really think he'd try something in public? Victor doesn't think like normal people. He thinks in power plays and dominance. Dante's eyes darkened. To him, taking you from me would be the ultimate victory. He won't miss an opportunity. The Belmont Hotel glittered like a jewelry box. I wore midnight blue this time, a dress that Dante had chosen personally. It fit like water, elegant and dangerous, making me look like someone who belonged in this world. I caught my reflection in the car window on the way there, barely recognized the woman staring back. She had my face but carried herself differently. Shoulders back, chin high, eyes that had learned to hide fear behind steel. You look beautiful, Dante said quietly. I turned to find him watching me with an expression that made my breath catch. Not the calculated looks he gave in public. Something real, something vulnerable. Thank you, I managed. His hand found mine in the darkness of the car, squeezed once, let go. The gala was everything the last one had been. Wealth, power, champagne that cost more than rent. But this time, I wasn't prey. I was predator, hunting information, playing a role so convincingly that even I almost believed it. Dante kept me close. His hand rested at the small of my back, possessive but gentle. We moved through the crowd together, and I saw the looks: envy, curiosity, calculation. Everyone wondering who I was, why Dante Moretti had chosen me. Let them wonder. There, Dante murmured near my ear, and I followed his gaze to where Victor stood across the room, watching us with an expression that made my skin crawl. He looks angry. Good. Angry people make mistakes. Dante's thumb traced small circles on my back, a gesture that could have been absent-minded, but wasn't. Every touch was calculated, every glance designed to sell our story, except it was starting to feel less like a story. Victor approached during dinner, his smile sharp as broken glass. Moretti, Miss Voss, how domestic you've become. Victor. Dante's voice could have frozen fire. To what do we owe this interruption? Just admiring your new acquisition. Victor's eyes raked over me. She's lovelier than her father described. He must be so proud, knowing she's warming your bed to pay his debts. I felt Dante tense beside me, saw his hand move toward his jacket where I knew he kept a gun. My father's a coward and a liar, I said before Dante could respond, my voice carrying enough venom to make Victor's smile falter. But at least he never pretended to be anything else. Unlike you. Victor's expression turned glacial. Careful, little girl. You're playing in waters too deep for... She's not playing. Dante stood, and the temperature dropped 10 degrees. And she's not yours to threaten. Touch her, speak to her, even look at her wrong, and I will personally show you exactly how deep those waters go. For a heartbeat, I thought Victor would lunge. His hand twitched toward his belt, but we were in public, surrounded by witnesses, and even he wasn't reckless enough to start a war here. This isn't over, Victor said softly. No, Dante agreed, it's not. Victor left, and I exhaled slowly, realizing I'd been holding my breath. You okay? Dante's hand cupped my face, tilting it toward him. The gesture looked intimate to anyone watching, but his eyes held genuine concern. I'm okay. My voice came out steadier than I felt. He's terrifying. He's desperate. That makes him dangerous. Dante's thumb brushed my cheekbone. But you handled yourself well. I had a good teacher. Something passed between us in that moment. Connection, recognition, the dangerous pull of two people who'd been circling each other for weeks, pretending proximity was just part of the plan. "Dance with me," Dante said. Not for show this time. For us. We moved onto the floor, and unlike the first time, there was no audience in my mind. Just him. Just the warmth of his hand on my back, the solid weight of his shoulder under my palm, the way we moved together like we'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. "I need to tell you something," he said, his voice low enough that only I could hear. My heart stuttered. "What?" "This started as a plan." His eyes met mine, storm gray and impossibly deep. But somewhere along the way, it stopped being just a plan. "Dante, I know this is wrong. I know you're here because you had no choice, and anything between us is complicated by that fact." His hand tightened on my waist. "But I need you to know, you're not just a weapon to me anymore. You're—" He trailed off, and I waited, barely breathing. "I'm what?" "Important." The word came out rough. "You've become important." I should have stepped back. Should have reminded him that this was temporary, that when Victor was destroyed, I'd leave, that nothing real could grow in soil this poisoned. Instead, I moved closer. "You're important to me too," I whispered, "and that terrifies me." His forehead touched mine, and for a moment we stopped dancing. Just stood there in the middle of the floor, surrounded by people but utterly alone. "Alara, there's something else. The sound of shattering glass cut through the music. Gunfire erupted from the entrance, screaming, chaos. Dante's body covered mine instantly, pushing me down, shielding me as bullets tore through the ballroom. "Stay down," he ordered, drawing his weapon. But through the smoke and panic, I saw Victor across the room, his gun pointed not at Dante, at me. Everything slowed. I watched his finger tighten on the trigger, watched Dante realize what was happening, watched him make a choice that would change everything. He stepped into the bullet's path. The impact spun him sideways. Blood bloomed across his white shirt, dark as wine. He fell, and I screamed his name, catching him as he went down. "Dante, no, please." His hand found mine, grip weak but steady. "Get out! Revka! She'll—" Then Revka was there, hauling me up, dragging me toward a side exit as her team returned fire. I fought her, screaming Dante's name, trying to reach him. "He'll live if we move now," she snarled, "but not if you die here." The last thing I saw before she pulled me through the door was Dante on the floor, blood spreading beneath him, his eyes locked on mine. And Victor, smiling like he'd won. What do you think will happen next? Drop your predictions in the comments. Days had passed since the Belmont. 3 days of watching Dante recover from a bullet that should have killed him. 3 days of rage crystallizing into something harder, sharper, something that could cut. The bullet had collapsed his lung, missed his heart by inches. The doctors said he was lucky. I said he was stubborn. Either way, he'd survived, and the moment he could stand without bleeding, he'd finalized our plan. Tonight, we ended this. "You don't have to do this," Dante said from behind me. His voice was still rough, breathing still labored. He shouldn't have been here at all. But try telling him that. I turned. He stood in the doorway, dressed in black, wearing a vest that made him look bulkier than usual. Bulletproof, I hoped. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with the same fury I felt. "Yes, I do." I picked up the envelope containing the doctored files. "I'm the bait, remember? The piece that makes this work." "You're not a piece anymore." He moved closer, careful of his injured side. "You're my partner, and partners don't sacrifice themselves." Neither do they let the other person take all the risks. I met his eyes. You took a bullet for me. Now let me return the favor. His hand cupped my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone the way it had on the dance floor. When this is over, we'll talk. I caught his wrist, pressed my lips to his palm, a promise and a plea. But first, we finish it. Revka appeared in the doorway. They're in position, waiting for you. I took a breath, let it out, became someone else. The frightened girl playing double agent, desperate to please her father, terrified of Victor. The performance I'd been rehearsing for weeks. Time to give the show of my life. The warehouse smelled like oil and rust. My heels clicked against concrete as I walked through the entrance, the envelope clutched in my hands like a shield. Victor and my father stood in the center, exactly where we'd known they'd be. Alara. My father's voice carried relief and triumph. You did it. I let my hands shake, sold the fear. I got the files, everything you asked for. Victor approached, and I forced myself not to retreat. His hand shot out, gripping my chin, tilting my face up. Let me see them. I handed over the envelope, watched his eyes light up as he opened it, scanning pages that looked authentic enough to fool anyone who didn't know Dante's systems intimately. Financial records, supplier lists, territory maps, everything Victor needed to dismantle Dante's organization. Everything except the truth. This is it, Victor breathed. This is everything. Then I've done what you asked. I pulled away from his grip. My father's debt is paid. I can leave. Leave? Victor's laugh cut like glass. Oh, darling, you're far too useful to let go now. With these files and you in my possession, Moretti will give me anything I want. Ice flooded my veins. This wasn't part of the plan. What? Did you think I wouldn't figure it out? Victor circled me slowly. The way he looks at you. The way he took a bullet meant for you. You're not just playing his lover, are you? You've become his weakness. My father stepped forward. That wasn't the deal, Victor. I gave you what you wanted. Let her go. The deal changed the moment I realized what she really means to him. Victor's hand snaked around my throat, not tight enough to choke, but a clear threat. Call Moretti. Tell him if he wants her back, he surrenders everything, his territory, his organization, his life. This was wrong. We'd predicted Victor would take the files, verify them, make his move. We hadn't predicted this. I felt for the panic trigger in my pocket. Found it. Pressed. I don't think so, Victor said, yanking my hand out, crushing the device under his heel. Did you really think I wouldn't check for insurance? I know all of Moretti's tricks. My heart hammered. We'd planned for contingencies, but not this. Not Victor being 3 steps ahead. She's my daughter, my father said, and for the first time, I heard something real in his voice. Fear. Maybe even regret. Please, take the files. Take everything. Just let her go. Your daughter. Victor's grip tightened. The daughter you sold to settle your debts. The daughter you used as a spy. And now you want to play protective father? How touching. I saw it then. The moment my father realized he'd lost control of the situation. That Victor had never intended to honor their deal. That we were both expendable. Run, I told my father. Get out of here. I'm not leaving you. Run! Victor's men raised their weapons. My father stumbled back, and then the warehouse exploded with sound, gunfire from all directions, Revka's team moving from the shadows like ghosts, Victor's men going down one by one, chaos erupting exactly the way we'd planned, just 3 minutes too late. Victor dragged me backward. Knife appearing from nowhere, blade cold against my throat. Tell them to stand down or I open her up. The shooting stopped. In the sudden silence, I heard footsteps. Dante emerged from the darkness, gun raised, every line of his body radiating controlled violence despite the bandages I knew were beneath his shirt. Let her go, Victor. So you can kill me? Victor's laugh vibrated against my spine. I don't think so. You want to know the beautiful part, Dante? Victor's voice cut through the standoff, sharp as the knife at my throat. You planned this from the start. She was always bait. You just fell for your own trap. I felt Dante's world shatter in the silence that followed. Victor laughed, the sound scraping against my nerves. Tell her, Moretti. Tell her how you knew about her father from the beginning, how you let him dig his own grave and threw his daughter in as insurance. No, that couldn't be true. But Dante's eyes met mine across the warehouse, and I saw the truth there, naked and raw. He'd known. From the very beginning, he'd known what my father was planning, had known about Victor's scheme, had let it all play out because it gave him the perfect opportunity to destroy his enemy. And I'd been the bait. Dante? My voice came out broken. Alara, I can explain. How long? Ice replaced the blood in my veins. How long did you know? His silence was answer enough. Victor's knife pressed harder against my throat. 3 months. He's been watching your father for 3 months, waiting for him to make his move. You were never rescued, sweetheart. You were recruited. Everything we'd built, every late night in his study, every moment of vulnerability, every touch that felt real, it had all been part of his plan. He'd manipulated me as skillfully as I'd manipulated my father. We were the same, him and I. Liars, users, players in a game where everyone was a piece. My heart broke and hardened simultaneously, crystallizing into something that could survive this, something that could do what needed to be done. I'm sorry, Dante said, and he sounded like he meant it. But sorry didn't change anything. The knife at my throat felt less threatening than the truth bleeding between Dante and me. Put the gun down, Moretti, Victor said, his breath hot against my ear. Or I'll paint these walls with her. Dante's weapon didn't waver. You kill her. You lose your leverage. Then, I put a bullet between your eyes and sleep perfectly well tonight. Will you? Victor's laugh vibrated through his chest into my back. Because I don't think you're that cold anymore. I think she got under your skin. Made you soft. You're wrong. But Dante's voice carried the slightest tremor. I'd heard him lie before. This wasn't it. My mind raced through possibilities, outcomes, angles. Everything Dante had taught me about strategy and survival. The warehouse was surrounded by Revka's team, but they couldn't shoot without risking me. Victor's men were down, but he still had 3 standing, weapons trained on Dante. My father crouched behind a crate somewhere, useless as always. And me, I was the wild card no one had accounted for. Even Victor. Here's what's going to happen, Victor continued. You're going to drop your weapon. Your people are going to withdraw, and I'm going to walk out of here with sweet Alara and those files. In 24 hours, I'll send you instructions for her return, provided you give me everything I want. That's not happening, Dante said flatly. Then she dies. The knife pressed deeper. I felt skin break, warm blood trickling down my throat. Victor was done posturing. He'd kill me just to prove a point, to hurt Dante, to win. Men like him always chose dominance over survival. That's what made them predictable. I let my body go limp, sudden dead weight in Victor's grip. His arms tightened instinctively, knife shifting away from my throat for half a second as he adjusted his hold, and I drove my elbow backward into his solar plexus exactly where Revka had taught me. Victor's breath exploded out. His grip loosened. I twisted, dropping low, and his knife slashed air where my throat had been. Gunfire erupted. Dante moved like liquid violence, taking down Victor's remaining men with brutal precision. Revka's team swarmed in. I hit the ground hard, rolled, came up to see Victor scrambling for the files he'd dropped. He grabbed them and ran. "Alara!" Dante reached for me, but I was already moving, chasing Victor toward the back exit. I heard Dante shout my name again, heard footsteps pounding behind me, but I didn't stop. Victor burst through the door into an alley. I followed 3 seconds later, my heels abandoned somewhere in the warehouse. The concrete was cold and rough under my bare feet. He was fast, but desperation made me faster. I tackled him from behind. We went down hard, the files scattering. His fist caught my jaw and stars exploded across my vision, but I held on, clawing for the envelope. He grabbed my hair, yanked my head back, and I bit his wrist hard enough to taste blood. He screamed, released me. I lunged for the files and froze. My father stood at the alley's end, gun shaking in his hands, pointed at Victor. "Get away from her," my father said. Victor laughed, blood dripping from his wrist. "Or what? You'll shoot me? You don't have the spine." "You're right." My father's gun shifted, pointed at me. "But I'll shoot her before I let you have her." The world stopped. "Dad?" My voice came out small, young. The voice of a girl who still believed her father would protect her. "I'm sorry, baby." Tears streamed down his face. "I'm so sorry for everything. But I can't let him take you. I won't let you live like that." "You're insane," Victor snarled. "Maybe." My father's finger moved to the trigger. "But she's my daughter. If anyone's going to destroy her life, it'll be me, not you." I saw the moment he decided to pull it, saw his finger tighten, saw the barrel aimed at my chest, heard the gunshot that came from behind me. My father jerked backward, red blooming across his shoulder. The gun clattered from his hand. He looked past me, eyes wide with shock and something that might have been relief. I turned. Dante stood at the alley entrance, weapon smoking, face carved from stone. "No one shoots her," he said quietly. "No one." Victor used the distraction to run. I heard his footsteps disappearing into the night, but I couldn't move. Couldn't look away from my father bleeding on the ground. Couldn't process what had almost happened. Dante's hand touched my shoulder. "Alara," I spun, shoving him hard. "Don't touch me." "He was going to kill you." "So you shot him?" Hysteria crept into my voice. "You shot my father?" "I shot the man pointing a gun at you. I don't care whose DNA he shares." Dante's eyes blazed. "I told you, no one hurts you. Not Victor, not your father, no one." "You don't get to decide that." I was shaking now, adrenaline and shock warring in my system. "You don't get to protect me after lying to me for months, after using me." "I know." His voice cracked. "I know, and I'm sorry, but..." "Stop saying you're sorry." I grabbed the scattered files, clutching them like they mattered. These were fake anyway, right? Part of your master plan? "You knew Victor would try to take me. You probably counted on it. Another piece moving exactly where you wanted." Dante flinched like I'd struck him. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like, Dante? Explain it to me. Make me understand how any of this was real." He opened his mouth, closed it, and I saw the truth in his silence. He couldn't, because it had started as manipulation, started as a plan to use me to destroy Victor. Everything else, the late nights, the touches, the moments that felt genuine, had grown from poisoned soil. That's what I thought. I turned toward my father, who was conscious but pale, clutching his shoulder. Revka had appeared from somewhere, already applying pressure to the wound. "He'll live," she said. "Barely clipped him." "Good." I looked down at the man who'd sold me, betrayed me, tried to kill me, felt nothing. "Get him out of here! I don't care where!" "Elara," my father started. "Don't!" I cut him off. "Don't apologize. Don't explain. Just go. Disappear. If I ever see you again, I won't stop the next bullet." Revka hauled him up, supporting his weight. As they passed, my father tried to meet my eyes. I looked away. He didn't deserve even that much. When they were gone, only Dante and I remained in the alley. The night pressed close, heavy with everything unsaid. "Victor got away," I said finally. "My people are tracking him. He won't get far." Dante moved closer. I didn't retreat, but I didn't welcome it either. "Elara, please, let me explain." "What's left to explain? You knew about my father from the beginning. You let everything happen because it served your purposes. I was a tool, a means to an end. At first," he reached for my hand but stopped short, like he'd lost the right to touch me. "Yes, at first that's all you were. But somewhere along the way—" "You fell for your own con?" I laughed bitterly. "That's supposed to make it better? It's supposed to make it true." His voice dropped. "I didn't plan to care about you. I didn't plan for you to become the most important thing in my world. But you did, and I don't know how to unfeel it. Try harder." I stepped back, because right now, I can't tell what's real and what's performance, with you, with us, with any of this. This is real. He pressed a hand to his chest, over the bandages hiding where he'd taken a bullet for me. "You think I throw myself in front of guns for strategy? You think I shoot fathers to protect pawns? I think you're very good at making people believe what you want them to believe." My throat tightened. "Including yourself." The words hit him like physical blows. I watched him absorb each one, saw the pain flash across his face, and felt nothing but empty. "What do you want me to do?" he asked finally. "I want you to leave me alone." "Elara, please." The word came out broken. "Please, Dante, I need time, space. I need to figure out who I am when I'm not playing a role, when I'm not someone's pawn or weapon or conquest." He nodded slowly. "Okay. But Victor's still out there. He'll come for you again." "Then I'll handle it myself." I met his eyes. "You taught me how, remember? How to be dangerous, how to survive. Congratulations. It worked." I walked away before he could respond, before the tears burning behind my eyes could fall, before the part of me that still wanted to run back to him could override the part that knew better. Behind me, I heard him say my name one more time, soft, broken. I didn't turn around. I went to the only place I knew I'd be safe, the only person I could still trust. Revka's apartment was sparse, functional, no different than I'd expected. She opened the door, took one look at my face, and stepped aside. "Whiskey or tea?" she asked. "Whiskey." She poured 2 glasses, handed me one, and we sat in silence, while I tried to remember how to breathe normally. "Your father's at a safe house," she said eventually. "Under guard. Dante gave orders he's not to be harmed." "Of course he did." I drained my glass. "Dante's very good at protecting his assets." "Is that what you think you are?" "I don't know what I am anymore." I stared at the empty glass. Everything I thought was real was a lie. Everything I felt was probably just trauma bonding or Stockholm syndrome or maybe it was real and you're too scared to admit it. I looked up sharply. Excuse me? Revka refilled my glass. I've worked for Dante for 8 years. I've seen him manipulate, seduce, destroy people without blinking. What he feels for you. That's not manipulation. That's terrifying vulnerability from a man who's never allowed himself to be vulnerable. He lied to me. He did. She didn't sugarcoat it. He saw an opportunity and took it. That's who he is, who he has to be in this world. So I should just forgive him? I didn't say that. Revka's eyes were steady. I said, understand the difference between tactical deception and emotional truth. He lied about the circumstances. I don't think he's lying about how he feels. How can you be sure? Because men like Dante don't take bullets for tactics. They don't lose sleep over pawns. And they definitely don't look the way he looked when you walked away tonight, like you'd carved out his heart and taken it with you. I wanted to argue, wanted to insist she was wrong. But I'd seen his face too, seen the devastation when I'd told him to leave. It doesn't matter, I said. Even if his feelings are real, they grew from lies. How do I build anything on that foundation? The same way people have been building relationships since the beginning of time. Revka smiled grimly. Carefully, with open eyes, knowing the other person is flawed and dangerous and might hurt you again. Love in our world isn't fairy tales, Alara. It's two damaged people choosing each other despite everything. I don't know if I can do that. Then don't. Walk away. Start over somewhere new. She stood, moving to the window. But know this. Victor won't stop. He's lost face, lost the files, lost control of the situation. Men like him respond to that by burning everything down. Dante will protect me. Will he? You told him to leave you alone. The implications settled over me like ice. I'd pushed Dante away to protect my heart, but in doing so, I'd lost my shield against Victor. What do I do? I whispered. That's up to you. Revka turned back to me. But decide fast, because Victor's coming, and when he does, you'll need to know exactly where you stand, alone or with Dante. There's no middle ground anymore. Victor came for me on the 3rd day. I'd moved to a hotel under a false name, paid cash, told no one where I was, kept the gun Revka gave me under my pillow and jumped at every sound, living in the space between Dante's world and freedom, belonging nowhere. The knock on my door at 2 a.m. wasn't loud, almost polite. I grabbed the gun, checked the peephole, saw nothing. Who is it? Someone with a message from your father. My blood froze. I opened the door with the chain still latched, gun ready. A woman stood there. Young, terrified, with a bruise blooming on her cheek. Please, he said you'd help. He said to tell you he's sorry. Who said that? Your father. She swallowed hard. Victor has him. He said if you don't come, he'll kill him. Slowly. Every instinct screamed trap, but I saw the fear in her eyes, real and raw, and knew she believed what she was saying. Where? She gave me an address, an abandoned factory on the waterfront. Of course it was. How do I know this is real? I asked. She held up a phone, played a video. My father tied to a chair, blood on his face. Victor's voice off camera. Come alone, Ilara. No Moretti, no backup. Just you for him. You have 2 hours. The video ended. I could call Dante. Should call him. This was exactly the scenario Revka had warned about. But my pride, my hurt, my stubborn need to prove I didn't need him, it all rose up like a wall. Tell him I'm coming, I said. The woman nodded and fled. I had 2 hours, enough time to do something monumentally stupid. I started planning. The factory loomed against the night sky like a broken tooth. I approached on foot, gun tucked in my jacket, Phone set to auto-send my location to Revka if I didn't check in within an hour. Not a great plan, but it was mine. The main entrance stood open, light spilling from inside. Too easy. Definitely a trap. I went in anyway. The space was massive, full of rusted equipment and shadows. My father sat in the center, exactly like the video, but conscious now. His eyes went wide when he saw me. "Alara, no, run!" "Touching." Victor's voice echoed from somewhere above. "The condemned man still tries to save his daughter, almost makes up for selling her in the first place." I raised my gun, scanning the catwalks. "Let him go, Victor. Your fight's with Dante, not us." "My fight is with everyone who's crossed me." He appeared on a platform above, flanked by 4 armed men. "Your father, Dante, and you, sweet Alara, who played spy so convincingly. Tell me, did you enjoy it? Deceiving your own blood?" "About as much as he enjoyed selling me." I kept the gun trained on Victor. "What do you want?" "Simple. You and your father for Dante. Call him. Tell him if he wants you alive, he surrenders. Comes here alone." "He won't come." "Oh, I think he will." Victor's smile was razor sharp. "You broke his heart when you left. Now he gets to watch me break everything else. Poetic, really." My father made a sound, half sob, half laugh. "She's not calling him. I won't let you use her as bait again." "You don't get a vote." Victor nodded to his men. One of them pressed a gun to my father's temple. This was it. The moment where I chose. Call Dante and drag him into Victor's trap, probably getting us all killed, or refuse and watch my father die. The father who'd sold me, betrayed me, tried to shoot me. The father who'd also raised me, taught me to ride a bike, cried at my high school graduation. People weren't simple. They were complicated, contradictory, capable of both love and destruction, just like me. "Okay," I said. "I'll call him." I pulled out my phone with my free hand, keeping the gun steady. Dialed Dante's number. He answered on the first ring. "Alara?" His voice carried relief and pain and hope. "Where are you? Are you safe?" "I'm at the factory, Pier 19. I spoke clearly, making sure Victor heard every word. "Victor has my father. He wants you to come alone, or he kills us both." Silence stretched across the line. "Don't come," I continued. "It's a trap. He'll kill you the moment you arrive." "I know." Dante's voice steadied. "I'm coming anyway." "Dante, you think I don't know what Victor's planning? You think I haven't been tracking him since the warehouse, waiting for him to make his move?" Something shifted in his tone. "I've been waiting for you to call, Alara, hoping you would, knowing you'd try to handle this alone first because you're brilliant and stubborn and too brave for your own good." My throat tightened. "This isn't your fight. Everything involving you is my fight." I heard movement, car doors, the sound of weapons being loaded. "Hold on, I'm 10 minutes out." "He'll kill you." "Probably. But I'd rather die protecting you than live knowing I let you face this alone." He paused. "I love you, Alara. I know I have no right to say it. I know I lied and manipulated and used you. But it's true. It became true somewhere between the first night and now, and I need you to know it before you do something stupid and heroic." My eyes burned. "Dante, please." 9 minutes. The line went dead. Victor laughed. "How romantic. He really does love you. That'll make this so much sweeter." I lowered the phone, but not the gun. My mind raced through scenarios, outcomes, possibilities. Victor had 4 men. I had 1 gun and minimal training. Dante was coming with backup, but that took time. Time my father didn't have. Time none of us had. Unless I change the game. You know what's funny, Victor? I moved forward slowly. You think you've won because you've got hostages and guns and home advantage. I have won, darling. No. I smiled, and it felt sharp enough to cut. You've already lost. You just don't know it yet. His expression flickered. Big words from a girl with one gun. It's not about the gun. I took another step. It's about what Dante taught me, about power, about how it's not in the weapon. It's in making your opponent believe they've won right before you destroy them. Alara, my father whispered. What are you doing? Something you taught me, actually. I looked at him. Taking a calculated risk. Then I turned the gun on myself. Victor's men shifted, uncertain. Victor himself went very still. Here's the new deal, I said, pressing the barrel to my temple. You let my father go right now, or I pull this trigger. Dante arrives to find me dead, and instead of surrendering, he burns this entire operation down with you inside it. Either way, you lose your leverage. You're bluffing. But Victor's voice held doubt. Am I? You said it yourself. Dante loves me. What do you think he'll do to the man who caused my death? You think your 4 guards will stop him? You think anything will? I let my finger rest on the trigger. I was his weakness when I was alive. Imagine what I'll be as his revenge. Victor's jaw clenched. You wouldn't. 3 months ago, you'd be right. 3 months ago, I was a law student who believed in rules and order and playing it safe. I met his eyes. But you and my father and Dante, you all taught me something valuable. Sometimes the only way to win is to flip the board. Alara, no, my father started. Shut up, Dad. I kept my focus on Victor. What's it going to be? Let him go and we can all wait for Dante like civilized people. Or I paint the walls and you explain to an enraged mob boss why his girlfriend is dead. Your choice. The silence stretched so tight it could snap. Then Victor nodded to his men. Cut him loose. They did. My father stumbled forward and I caught him with my free hand, gun still pressed to my head. Over there, I directed him toward the door. Wait outside. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. I smiled at him and meant it. Because I forgive you, Dad. For all of it. But that doesn't mean I trust you to help here. So go. Let me fix this my way. He hesitated, then left. I heard his footsteps fading. Now it was just me and Victor and his men, and the gun pressed to my temple. Lower the weapon, Alara, Victor said carefully. Let's talk about this. Nothing to talk about. I glanced at my watch. Dante will be here in 5 minutes. We can all wait together. Maybe have a nice civilized conversation before the shooting starts. Victor's eyes narrowed. You really think you've won? I think I've survived. In your world, that's the same thing. The sound of approaching vehicles cut through the night. Multiple engines, multiple vehicles. Dante wasn't coming alone. He was coming with an army. Victor's expression turned feral. If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. He drew his weapon. I pulled my trigger first. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. But it wasn't aimed at my head. I'd shifted at the last second, firing past Victor's ear, close enough to make him flinch and duck. In that moment of distraction, I dove for cover behind a rusted piece of machinery. His men opened fire. Bullets pinged off metal. I rolled, came up, returned fire. Took down one of Victor's guards with a shot to the leg. Not fatal, but he went. Down screaming. The entrance exploded inward. Dante and Revka stormed in with a team of 12, weapons raised, moving with military precision. The factory erupted into chaos. gunfire, shouting, the organized violence of a tactical assault. I stayed low, moving through the shadows, circling toward Victor's position. He was focused on Dante, didn't see me coming. I pressed my gun to the back of his head. "Game over," I said. Victor froze. Around us, the shooting stopped. Dante's team had taken down the remaining guards. Only Victor remained, and he was mine. "You were right about one thing," I continued. "I did learn from Dante about power, about survival, about what it takes to win in this world." I leaned closer. "And the most important lesson? Know when you're beaten." "You won't shoot me," Victor said. "You're not a killer." "You're right." I stepped back, lowering the gun. "I'm not." Dante appeared beside me, weapon trained on Victor. "But I am." "Wait." I put a hand on Dante's arm. "He's not worth it. He tried to kill you, multiple times, and failed, every time." I looked at Victor, saw the rage and defeat in his eyes. Killing him makes him a martyr. Letting him live in prison, watching everything he built get torn apart piece by piece, that's real punishment. Dante studied me for a long moment. Then slowly, he lowered his weapon. "Revka, call the police. Anonymous tip about a wanted criminal and his men. Let the system have him." Victor's face went purple with rage. "You can't." "We can." I smiled. "Welcome to powerlessness, Victor. Enjoy your new perspective." As Revka made the call and her team secured Victor, I became aware of Dante standing close, not quite touching me, like he wasn't sure if he was allowed. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. I held a gun to my head and bluffed a crime lord into surrendering. I looked at him. "I'm either okay or completely insane. Jury's still out." "It was brilliant." His voice carried awe and terror in equal measure. "Terrifying, but brilliant. I learned from the best." We stood there in the aftermath, surrounded by Dante's people and Victor's defeated men, and I felt the weight of everything unsaid pressing between us. "Thank you for coming," I said finally. "Always." He reached for my hand, stopped halfway. "Alara, I know you need time. I know I broke your trust, but I meant what I said on the phone. I love you, and I'll spend however long it takes proving that's real if you'll let me." I looked at our hands, hovering in the space between connection and separation, thought about everything we'd been through, the lies and truths, the manipulation and genuine feeling, the way love could grow even in poisoned soil if both people tended it carefully. "I can't promise I trust you yet," I said. "I can't promise this will work. I know. But I can promise I'll try." I closed the distance, taking his hand. "If you promise no more lies, no more secrets, we do this." With open eyes or not at all. His fingers tightened around mine. "Deal." Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. "We should go," Revka said, "before the police arrive and ask uncomfortable questions." Dante nodded but didn't let go of my hand. "One more thing first." He pulled me close and kissed me, deep and real and desperate. Not for show, not for strategy, just for us. When we broke apart, I was breathless. "What was that for?" I asked. "For giving me a second chance I don't deserve." His forehead touched mine. "I won't waste it." "You better not." I smiled against his lips. "Because if you do, next time I won't bluff with the gun." His laugh was surprised and genuine and beautiful. We left together hand in hand, walking into an uncertain future. But at least it was ours, built on truth this time, however ugly, built on choice. Behind us, Victor screamed threats that no one listened to. Ahead, police lights painted the night red and blue. And between those 2 points, Dante and I found something I hadn't expected when this started. Not salvation, not redemption, but possibility. And in our dark world, that was enough. Did you enjoy the story? Drop a like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.